When it comes to VR games, there's two different ways they're made. That being one, that they're ported over, or two, that they're made for VR. Usually a ported game doesn't have the best user interface. Some being The Forest, Fallout 4, Skyrim. Those are games that are normally on desktop and they switched over to virtual reality. Even X-Plane is the same scenario. Now they do all work, it just takes some getting used to. The other way is making games exclusively for VR. Those are games like Iron Wolf, Half-Life Alyx, and H3 VR. I'm Jake the Snake, and this is why I think VTOL VR is the best military flight simulator out there. VTOL is a unique scenario as far as flight simulators go. You have X-Plane, which was ported over, and it was pretty good. I didn't mind it, but in the end of the day, it's always cool to have something that's built around VR, so you get that full experience. So before I get ahead of myself, what is VTOL VR? Well, it's a single-player campaign-based game with a fully fledged Steam workshop. It released on August 7th, 2017. It's playable on the Oculus Rift S, HTC Vive, and Windows Mixed Reality. The worldly graphics are as what you expect for VR, as where the cockpit graphics are actually pretty good. As in most games, there are frequent updates fixing some of the graphics and other smaller bugs. In fact, one of the recent updates actually added fully customizable characters. You can now change the color of your suit, G-suit, vest, straps, and your skin color. But that's about it for now. As far as any further updates, I'm not exactly sure what they're going to be doing. As far as the planes go, there are actually 3 planes as of right now. The FA-26B, the F-45A, and the AV-42C. The FA-26B actually is the only vehicle in the game that doesn't have VTOL, whereas the other 2 do support vertical takeoff. My favorite little detail they added about this game, well maybe not so little, is full customization of your armament. With external fuel tanks, you're able to store more fuel in replacement of your payload. With over 15 different types of bombs in the game, you really can't go wrong. Every mission in the game will give you a briefing. It'll tell you what kind of vehicles you're going to come up against or what you're going to be fighting. And from there you can select what type of armament you're going to need. I usually go with a little bit of everything from the Vulcan cannon to ground and air support. Today I'm using the F-26B. I personally love this jet. Most missions will have a budget, as long as you're in the campaign, and you're going to try to stay underneath the budget or else you cannot start the game. If you happen to go over your budget, you're going to have a choice to make. Are you going to need more fuel or more weapons for this mission? If it's weapons, you're going to take down some of the fuel out of your plane. If it's going to be a long flight mission, which there are some, you're going to need to ace some of the weapons you have, and choose wisely, because you don't get the refill. There's even an option to get rid of some of your flares and chaff, but I wouldn't recommend that because you will end up needing those. It takes a lot to get a missile off your back. After you're done with your selection, you'll start the game up, which will spawn you in your plane. Just like all the games I play on VR, the one thing I love about this game is the immersion. I know I talk a lot about it, but that's one thing that really drives me for these games. The entire cockpit is usable, all the buttons do something, and starting the plane even took me a while, because I didn't know much about planes. But after completing the tutorial, it went pretty easy for me. In a lot of VR games, you can't really fine-tune where you sit. That's one thing that's great about this, is you actually are able to move your seat up and down, and the joystick left or right, up or down as well, just to get that max comfort. Now in order to start your plane up, you're going to need to turn the battery on. Once the battery's on, you're going to want to go over to your APU, flick that on until the RPM gets up high. Then you're going to want to turn your engines on and let those sit until they steady out. You're then going to want to turn the APU back off while leaving the battery on. There are 2 top smaller monitors right in front of you. The right one will show your fuel, and the left one will show you a mini radar as long as it's on. The master arm switch will arm your weapons, obviously, which you're going to need, especially in the campaign. Next you have your 2 main monitors, which you got to switch on, and you can fine tune those however you like. There's different options as far as navigation, camera, what weapons you have on board, your GPS, your game info, and objectives. There's two toggle switches underneath the landing gear, right beside Master Arm, that will show a number on it. That's your chaff and flares. Those are very important to keep an eye on how many you have. And then once you're ready and comfy, you're going to turn off the main brake and give that throttle a little bit of a push to get you going. Now there's two different ways you can take off. One scenario being on the aircraft carrier, or B at the actual hangar on a runway itself. Now obviously it takes a little bit of skill, not too much, but a little bit to take off from the aircraft carrier. If it's your first time, the runway is going to be your go-to for sure. And once you're ready, go ahead and launch it. But just like in reality, you're going to want to take your time on the runway, because if you take too long, you're going to run off of it and crash. If too short, you're going to stall trying to lift up. So you'll find that easy middle that works for you. One of the biggest things that add to the realism is when you're turning too sharp, you'll actually start to black out, as you see right now. It's a neat little addition they added to the game that kind of really puts you in it. Now you can have one of the best, biggest, coolest rigs for flying any type of flight simulator outside of VR. But at the end of the day, when you got the headset on and you're able to free look around, and it'll trick you, making you think you're actually in this plane. I've gotten butterflies doing tricks like this, and it's crazy. One of the things I would recommend for this game is to use a chair without too high of armrests. You'll find it very annoying whenever you're trying to reach for your thrust, or some of the smaller light buttons off to your left or right. Just because how high the armrest may be, it could affect how you grab things, especially when you're not trying to look down at what you're grabbing. So I've touched on the free mode just a bit. Now I wanted to talk about the campaigns. The campaigns go in depth. Now I haven't beat the game exactly, so I don't know how far it goes, but each plane, all three of them, have their own unique campaign. Some of the missions are set at night or at day. At night it's really cool because you get to use the night vision. Honestly, I love the night vision. Now there are a few different things when it comes to the campaign. Number one, the AI. The AI can be very taunting. It's a pain in the ass because sometimes, like as you hear right now, one of them is locking onto me from a ground position and I can't seem to find them. And they end up launching a missile and taking me out, even though I deploy my counter flares and the chaff. Another annoying thing is definitely the comms. You can definitely tell the comms are a little bit repetitive. The AI on longer flights will repeat some of the things they say over and over, and it does get annoying. But the nice thing is that you can always turn the voice down. Usually that's located on the right of your side. Air-to-air combat is a lot of fun in this game, especially when you're dogfighting with you and an AI. And believe it or not, the friendly AIs actually do really well in this game. They will help you out tremendously. With the inclusion of being able to speak to them and certain little notifications you can put down, and the ability to call out a refuel where you actually have to go up to a C-130 and refuel. It's a pain and I haven't been able to master it yet, but it is really cool that they added that to the game. Now like in this situation, if you can't seem to dodge the missile with the chaff or the flares, you can always try evading it. In my case it didn't work out, and I just went ahead and ejected and watched my plane go into the cliff right beside me. It's pretty funny. I love the ejection button, or well, pull, but it's a lot of fun to watch that. So in conclusion, I highly recommend this game. It is a lot of fun, and I see myself coming back to it all the time when I just want to sit down, relaxing game. It doesn't get you too motion sick, but it will if you play it too long. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and as always, thank you.